And good morning, New Mexico. We are 99.9 FM, M810. Time now for the Rusty Nut Show right here on your community radio station, Suave Radio, with your host, yours truly, and of course, Mr. Gabriel Garcia of the Auto Angel. We want to thank Advanced Auto Parts for being a great sponsor of this show, Advanced Auto Parts on Siler Road. And of course, we want to thank Gabriel and his staff from the Auto Angel. A great show, Gabe. And of course, we want to make sure that we keep everybody in front of the tow truck, not on top of the tow truck. And again, we want to just educate people. It's really
there you go. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in today to the Rusty Nut Show here on the radio, and those of you online. I mean, the whole point of this show is we're giving back to the community by having these educational shows. So thank you so much, Patricio, for your family giving this shows like this a voice. You know, I mention all the time, you guys have the DWI show, the water show, you guys visit with the mayor, everything important to northern New Mexico. You guys give people an opportunity to get the message out. And this show, we give the message out on how to keep your second largest investment being your automobile, second to your home, how to keep it safe and where to spend your money and where not to, you know, how to avoid having to spend too much, and how to be educated so that you don't feel like you're being taken or overspending. So muchas gracias to Que Suave Radio. Thank you to the Auto Angel, my team here, giving me the ability to be on the show with you. You know, every week they're under hoods, under cars, they're on the phone and the computer, and they give me the freedom to be on the show with you, Pat.
Excellent. That's it. And also, I had a quick question in regards to all the smoke. Did is that Stefan's car that's smoking, or is that Josh's?
Probably both of them, because they don't listen to their own show.
Yeah, they may listen to their own radio station.
Yeah, they're listening to 94 Rock. What's wrong with those guys?
But real quick, too, they can not only listen to us here on 99.9 FM, M810, but they can catch us on social media. Of course, you can YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, live on 99.9 FM and M810. Boom.
There you go. You nailed it, man. You're like a professional radio announcer. Por via, who'd have thought? Gotta say hi to my mom, hi to my wife, Carolina, my suegra, Grandma Rose, my other suegra, Grandma Jeannie. And then we do the most important thank you of the day is to the red, white, and blue thank you. This is to all enlisted servicemen and women, active duty, stateside, abroad, reservists, veterans, but most of all to their families that support these brave men and women. We have a greatest country in the world that protected by armed forces of volunteers, and those volunteers leave empty chairs at kitchen dinner tables, breakfast tables all over our the United States today. There's families missing loved ones that volunteer to protect you and I, Patricio.
That's right. In addition to our military men and women, I mean, you look at even what happened, our police officers, our firefighters, those not only here in the city and the county, but those that are out fighting those forest fires. But I mean, our police officers every day, look at what happened there in Chicago to that woman police officer that just they just snuck up on her and killed her. And so we need to be praying for our people in uniform, but we thank you guys, because you guys put that uniform on. You have a different DNA than all of us, willing to sacrifice your lives for us. So we thank you.
They don't even know, for strangers.
Yep.
That's where that this segment of the show saying thank you to them, and then again and again, and those families that are at home waiting for their loved ones, worried about them day in and day out. I mean, I can't express enough gratitude to them. We'll move to the Azul Gracias. It's kind of a blue-collar thank you, where we want to say thank you to people doing a job what's otherwise maybe considered a thankless job. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we always pick a different occupation, and this time I'm going to go, to the fast food workers. I've touched on restaurant workers. I've touched on different aspects of that, but I don't remember targeting specifically these fast food workers. When you're in a hurry or you're traveling, you're on the road, one of your first stops is always going to be something like that. It's very rare that you have the time for a real type of dinner. So you pull into somewhere, you go through a drive-through. I mean, all of us almost know at every one of them what we order. I mean, a number one or a number two or whatever it is we're after. We're so used to them being dependable. And it's the men and women behind the scene that are actually doing the prepping and making sure they're producing safe meals for people. They're the ones that I want to thank, because that is, a job that's under pressure, and they got fire back there in Greece.
Well, and like I always say, don't shoot the messenger, right? Because they're not the ones that came up with the drive-through and how to make it operate more smoothly and everything else. They're not the ones that did it. They're just doing their job. So don't shoot the messenger. If you're going to go through a drive-through or anywhere you go, you got to be patient and be
Have some
patient with them.
gratitude, an attitude of gratitude. Be grateful that they're even open.
That's what I say.
It's not your God-given right to be able to go through the drive-through. It's
There
somebody
you,
has to go through the trouble to make that infrastructure. So be grateful that it exists.
there you go, brother. There, just don't shoot the messengers. Be,
So
be patient. Be patient with the people. That's it.
there you go, and be grateful. So we got a Kyovo of the day. I'm gonna say hi to my hermana Susana, my prima Ana. She listens on the web, bro, in Dallas. And my other primo Adan Espinosa, he's from Nambe, and Eric with an A. And then we have Paul from A1 Towing. He actually rescued one of our own this weekend. So a special thanks to Paul Garcia of A1 Towing. Yes, mechanics cars break too, everybody. Yes, we practice what we preach. Yes, he got a tow truck to get his vehicle safely here to the shop so he could work on it.
Very nice. That's what I like to hear. I want to say hi to Jeff Valley from the Jeff Valley Insurance Agency. Good people, and of course, I went to school with them. We graduated like 10 years ago. So Jeff Valley of the Jeff Valley Insurance Agency.
10 years ago, you had to go back and do it over.
My brother Benny, and then of course to Paul, his brother-in-law, and good people as always. Ron, Chavez, and Angela. My thoughts and prayers are with you guys, Ron and Angela. You guys have a good day.
All right, there you go. Now we're going to go ready for the Spanglish lesson of the day, Patricio.
Okay, well, while you're talking about the Spanglish lesson, I'm going to let people know we want to thank Advanced Auto Parts, proud sponsors of this great show, and of course, the Auto Angel, La Norma and Gabriel. Buenos días, Norma, ¿cómo está?
Hola, buenos días, muy bien, un saludo a toda la gente bonita de Nuevo México. ¿Cómo están?
Bien, bendecido. Iba a preguntar, look at great minds think alike. Look at you're wearing blue and I'm wearing blue or gray or whatever. So great minds think alike.
Oh, yes, of course.
What's the Spanglish? Sí.
Okay, so víbora.
O víbora.
Ajá, snake.
A snake.
Ajá. ¿Y qué podríamos decir en un enunciado?
Había un víbora en mi carro.
Sí, perfecto. Hay una víbora en mi carro. Muy bueno. Le voy a pasar a Gabriel, ¿ok? Un momento, por favor. Aquí tenemos al maestro Gabriel.
Y el maestro, qué bárbaro.
Maestro. She was talking about snakes, a la máquina, getting the snakes.
That's right.
All right, let's rock and roll.
So I take it we're going to talk about animals?
Yes, we are. So, we've touched on these subjects over and over again. And the reason I revisit them is I know I got different listeners today, maybe, or maybe we're going to reinforce something that someone missed because they had to, time's gone by. And most of these lessons are always reinforced by something that's happening in the building today that really just sparked the need to kind of just reteach this subject. So we're going to talk about rodents. We have problems with rodents in cars. So rodents in general, I mean, one of the biggest problems, obviously, every summer you hear the bubonic plague. That's a real threat to humans from rodents. There's one reason to want to keep them or deter them from being in your property, in your home, in your car, away from your own pets. The hantavirus is another term or word that, had a real spotlight at one time here. It's not as prevalent right now, maybe, but it's still a real threat. And then we've got also just in general, the damage that they do to property. So besides the threat to your health, there's also the reality of the damage that they cause. So rats, mice, and other rodents, they're driven to find a place to survive. They're not really attracted to a car necessarily, not any more than they are to a shed or to a wood pile, but they're looking for somewhere dark, and a car's engine bay provides them a dark, warm, it could be warm, especially if you just turned it off recently or it's collecting sun. and it's a secluded place for rodents to store food and build nests. This leads to why they're attracted to your car. So I've had clients where they feel like maybe their one brand of car never gets the amount of attraction from the mice, maybe, or rats as another vehicle. And we'll touch on that a little bit as to why. Some of the vehicles can have plastics under the hood that are actually made of a soy product, meaning a plant-based product. What do you think that might lead to, Patricio?
Soybeans.
There you go, and rice.
Berries.
Whistleberry. So the plastic insulation around the copper wire can be made of a soy product. And that might be one reason why a particular maker model gets so much more damage caused by rodents than another, because that's actually a food source. That makes sense?
Yeah. So I would have always thought that they would be going, say people leave food in the car, not all the time, but they do leave it. And I would think that to me, I would think about a rodent and the way it is today. And I'm not a rodent, but for food and water, I meant, you know what I mean?
You're not a rodent. Well, we'll put that up for a vote. We'll see what your brother Esteban says to that. He might refer to you as the rodent. Anyway, let's
so
get
what do you think of what I said about food and water?
You're 100% right. Obviously, the things they need is shelter is the one attraction to the car. But why are they in your property to begin with? And that's one of the things I want to talk about. So one of the things on the list, and we'll get to that now since you brought it up, is if you want to try and keep the mice and rats and squirrels out of your car, one of the first things you might consider is cleaning your property and cleaning that of the water that they're using to survive, the food that they're using to survive on. Because we end up, we're doing an oil change on someone's car. We pop the hood, we open the air filter housing. What do you think we find in there? A whole pound of dog food, dry dog food. You think your dog's been eating it? Guess what? He's getting robbed. And he's getting robbed by a pack rat or a mouse, and they're putting it in the air filter housing because that's where they stay at night. So getting rid of those food and water sources. Bird feeders are huge right now, where people love to watch these birds, but the birds are picky. They only want what they want, and they throw everything else on the ground, and who picks it up?
The rats and rodents.
Mice, and they put it where? In your car. So getting rid of the food and water sources could really help. So, or, changing it, the location of it, making it less attractive to the mice and the rodents. They really like to travel along walls. And that's the first place we put a dog bowl, is against the wall. So a mouse has a nice, safe place to travel along the wall, jumps into the water bowl, gets nice and hydrated, and then leaves again. Anyway, so that's one. The other one was, a big way to deter the mice and the rats from getting into your car is use it. Drive your car every day. A vehicle that starts and is being used is less likely to have a lot of nesting because it's not a safe place for them. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. A lot of sense.
It's an easy one. Parking in a garage. Go ahead.
Do you find that there's more rodents, and I don't know if you can tell by people that live in the city or in the country, or I would think there's more out in the country, but
for sure, there's different parts of Santa Fe that have bigger problems. I would say right now, if I had to say where we're having more problems coming out of is the area out of El Dorado, the area out of maybe Arroyo Hondo, all that kind of more rural county areas where there's a lot of cholla, a lot of the cactus they like, wood piles, things of that nature.
Okay. So that was a profound question that you didn't even acknowledge.
Hey, you want to see somebody famous on the internet?
At least Bubba did.
Norma has an assistant today.
Let me see. Oh, look at Teresa. Hi. How are you? She's all red. You know what, Teresa, I know you're not shy.
Yes, I am.
That was our special guest, Teresa Gonzalez.
Good people.
One of the best. So we just had to throw her in there just to get our ratings up. We got to improve our ratings, Patricio.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then, one of the ways that a lot of people can deal with, somebody like Teresa might have to deal with this, is hiring a professional exterminator. That's something that you don't have time to deal with. Maybe you don't have the ability to deal with. Maybe it sounds, expense that you can incur, but it's probably going to be cheaper than putting up with the damage that they might cause to your home and your vehicle.
Very good. I like that idea because a lot of times we want to save money, and either you do it right or you're going to pay for it twice.
Yeah, I definitely, I think you even had a exterminator on the show before. It's definitely something to consider. Now let's get into deterrence. There's things like ritter rats that are the flashing LEDs. Go ahead. Question.
And I've never asked an exterminator this, but do they? Have you ever heard of them doing it to vehicles? I meant, can they? Is there such a thing as that?
I've had some exterminators actually refer clients to us for this device I was talking about, the ritter rat. I think they're capable of trapping rodents in and or around cars. Why wouldn't they? But I don't think they advertise to professionally deter rodents from your vehicle. And I could be wrong. Maybe different companies have different approaches for different things. So best thing to do is ask the exterminator. Again, we're not so much, I think the exterminator's goal would be to secure your property, because then your car will be safe.
Right. Got it. Makes sense.
Okay. So let's get into that ritter rat device that we sell. You can buy them at Big Joe. You can buy them at multiple hardware stores. Basically, it's a flashing LED light. In fact, I've got one over here, and it comes with it's a magnet, goes to the bottom of your vehicle or under the hood. It depends, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It runs on the car battery, but again, all it does is blink. So it's just a strobe light, and it's tiny, and it's smaller than a pack of gum almost. But at night, it really reflects. So here we put it so that your car blinks off the ground. We're trying to get the nocturnal mice and rats to just stay away from your car. It doesn't have a lot of success though if there's so many rats or mice that they're moving around during the day. If they feel safe at your property because you have no other deterrent, I've been out to places to look at cars and seen the mice running around during the day. So it's not effective to scare anything in the light of day. That's one issue. Two is going to be that rodents have a strong need to reproduce, and they have a scent so if you don't clean the car from the feces and the urine tract, that no devices will work. They don't care what it is. Their drive is too strong, and they'll just ignore any type of threat. That makes sense?
That makes sense. Yep. Right. I hear. I'm paying attention. Don't put food in your car. Don't leave water. Clean up your area around your house. And
so there's also plastic cosmetic engine covers. So you open a hood on a lot of these cars, and it's just an emblem of that brand. It looks beautiful on top of the engine. You can't see anything but this big plastic cover. Those covers require almost no tools to remove. Most of them are you just pull it off. They're mounted on rubber grommets. What we find is they provide the shelter that the mice enjoy. So they feel safer under that cover. So when we remove that cover, let's say you just brought your car in for a check engine light, we go to pull that so we can inspect it, and there they are. There's all the wires chewed, there's all the feces, there's all the choya, everything. And we've convinced a lot of clients to let us leave it off. We clean away all that, we fix all the problems, and then we take that engine cover and we'll let the customer keep it. We'll say, put that in their shed or your garage. The worst thing that happens from that is you might hear the engine more, because some of them have rubber padding to try and keep the engine noise in the engine compartment so that the passengers can't hear it. That'd be about the worst thing. If anything, it might even help keep it cooler.
I got another profound question.
Uh-oh.
But I don't know if everybody can do it. What do you think if people were to say they do have a rodent problem and they took it to your place, got it all cleaned up, took it to the Auto Angel? What about opening the hood at night and leaving it up?
Very good. I don't know if that's a profound question, but it's definitely something that could be discussed.
Because you said they look for that they're looking for shelter, they're looking for a place to hide.
100% right. The only problem there's a few problems with the hood up. One is you have to actually do it. So for your mom, is that an option? No. For my mom, is that an option? No. So it doesn't work for everybody. The other problem we have is if you're parking your vehicle outside, the wind can ultimately destroy it. So you might keep the mice out, but we've seen hoods go, even with the hook the right way, it takes out the windshield. On some cars, it takes out the roof, and of course, it takes out the hood. So not always your best bet, but an option for sure.
Profound question, not a good idea though.
No, it's not a bad idea. It's just, you could do some things. Maybe somebody like Patricio might put a bungee cord to help make sure that it doesn't lift off the hook. something like that. But it is a good idea to help keep the rats out. Whether or not you end up regretting it would depend on the wind where you live.
Right. Okay. Keep it going.
There's such thing as traps for sure. The mice can be trapped. One of the better ones for people listening that they have the aptitude to, build one is a bucket trap. So a 5-gallon bucket made into a water trap really works for catching multiple rodents in one setting. So you guys can look online to see how they work, see how they make them. We here at the Auto Angel have used them at our own places and have found them to be very effective. And the best part is they're no real threat to any other pets. So a cat's not going to drown in a 5-gallon bucket. A dog's not going to. They might be a threat to a toddler or a small kid, so be aware if you have kids around. Buckets are always dangerous. But in general, if you're catching mice and you want to try them, I would look online for that.
That's a good way to catch them. It really works.
And then we'll get into cleaning. You're keeping your vehicle clean. You mentioned this. Keep food out of there. Keep the trash out of there. Of course, mice are going to want to get in there if they could smell that cheeseburger you didn't finish. I mean, that's just cleanliness is just get rid of that garbage. And putting it in the little garbage bag in the car didn't help. Get it out of the car. So cleaning your car every chance you get is really going to help. Now, there's different things. I'll refer to them as snake oils, tricks. Peppermint oil, maybe. The whole peppermint idea is it's so hot. If mice are not interested in it, they'll want to get away. But this requires effort on your part. It doesn't last forever. Pepper. There's even electrical tape made by a manufacturer that has like some type of hot sauce or hot pepper in it to try and keep the mice from staying away. So there's different things out there advertised that work. How about that mothball one? Have you heard of that?
Well, I've heard of the mothballs, but I've never heard of one. Is it?
Try to use them to deter rodents. And quite honestly, mothballs, they contain a small amount of some naphthalene or something. I looked online. In large quantities, it's definitely dangerous. But even in the small quantities, it has chemicals that are toxic to humans. So if you can smell it, you're getting poisoned by it. So don't use mothballs in your car to try and keep away mice. They're not called mice balls. They're mouth balls.
For a reason. Well, hey,
you didn't catch that. Mothballs, hombre.
There makes me think about the old timers when they used to put those mothballs in their closets, so they smelled them every day. Que bárbaro.
That's terrible. And then, the other thing is mice and rats attract, what's their best predator?
I don't know what.
Snakes, víboras. We learned that from Norma.
Oh, a víbora. Okay.
So how would you like to get in your car and meet a snake?
I was going to say a cat.
Snakes are out there hunting for them because they need them to survive. Nobody feeds snakes. I actually had a snake come out of my truck in the parking lot at Albertsons.
No.
Yes, and it was a good-sized snake, and I didn't want to touch it. And some lady came and she shamed me, man. She was old enough to be my grandma, and she picked it up and carried it off. That's a true story.
What kind of snake?
I don't know. I was scared. I was hiding under Caroline's skirt.
There you go, brother. Yeah. I'm glad you're man enough to admit it.
Oh, man. Good thing she was wearing a skirt that day or I'd have been in trouble.
Yes,
anyway,
sir.
So the bottom line is, keeping the area that you park clean, keeping your car clean helps a bunch. There's some tricks. Some of the vehicles have the ability to set your recirculation air door on your car. So you set it to recirc air. That means you're blocking off outside air and you want the vehicle's air conditioning to take air from inside the cabin. So there's a little door that'll mechanically move. Some of you guys have older vehicles with like a cable, and you can set it to recirc. And if it does that, if it'll stay there, now we blocked the entryway for the mice to come in through the vent, maybe. It's a free trick you can try, because we do have people where the mice actually get into the cabin of the vehicle, and they usually are entering from wherever you're getting that fresh air from.
And they can, you talked a little bit about the wiring that you got right there under the hood, but just imagine the work that goes into having to take them out from underneath the dashboard, dashboard, and the mess that they've made.
And while you're on that subject, let's talk about poisons. So, poisons might sound good, but there's going to be experts on both sides of this, but a lot of them are going to recommend not to use this option. One of it is it will kill the mice, but it can also kill the predators that kill those mice or that eat them, scavengers. Maybe your own house cat or your own pet might get into a poisoned mouse. And the other problem is you use poison. What if it dies in the wall inside your house? Or what if it dies in the car somewhere? I mean, that's a terrible, terrible thing to have to put up with. It's hard to get rid of. Sometimes they're hard to find where they are. Just because it stinks doesn't mean it's going to be obvious where that dead rodent is.
I like it. And I think, and I'm thinking back because I did have some mice in my truck. But I think the best thing I used was, and I don't know if you're going to suggest anything, but the best thing I used was those sticky traps.
Oh, yeah.
You put them, like you said, either up on top of the dashboard by the window where they run, down on the floorboard and all that other stuff. But that seemed to have gotten rid of all of them.
And again, trapping them and killing them, everyone will have a different opinion on whether they should or shouldn't, humane, inhumane, all these other factors. There's so many different options out there that what works for Patricio might not work for somebody else. Like my mom's not going to want to deal with that trap. I get it. But that's why I'm trying to throw out all these different options. I think you're right to mention that. The other thing is, in summary, let's talk about that a little bit, is rodents cause damage. And the damage they do to the wiring under a car isn't always food related. It's that they're chewing it. They have a natural desire to sharpen their teeth, is what we've read. So they chew on everything, and the whole thing is they're gnawing, kind of like a puppy or a little kid. They're always chewing on something. Rodents invite disease and they invite predators, both. So you don't want to be driving down the road with your AC on and you're breathing in that hantavirus. That's terrible. So keeping them out of the car is critical, and it's for your safety of your family. And some of the worst damage we've seen to cars isn't from the rodent, but it's from your dog trying to get the squirrel that's in the car chirping at your dog.
Yeah, that'll make a mess.
We've seen them chew up fuel lines, brake lines, and they ruin the paint, scratch a hood, chew the fenders. I mean, I've seen cars almost totaled from a German Shepherd.
Very good. And we got 1 minute and a half. What's the wrap up?
1 minute and a half.
That's 90 seconds.
We basically, let's do the math. I think we really already targeted it as far as the summary goes. And I hate to bore people with the same old subject, but there are things out there, and not any one thing's going to do the trick. You can't take away the food source and not clean the vehicle. You can't, add a Ritter rat and spend money and say, okay, now I'm not going to get mice in my car. You still got to clean that wood pile or move it. Park your car in a different place is another one. Just moving the car sometimes will be enough. So you can't pick up your car from it being repaired at your local friendly repair place and park it right back where it got the damage. I've had customers do it time and time again, and there is not a warranty by any facility that's going to cover rodent damage.
Well, and the thing is, too, you don't want to get it, and then you go and visit your parents or whatever, your brothers and sisters, and all of a sudden they get dropped off there at the Auto Angel or at Stefan's house or somewhere. You know what I mean?
I see it falling out going down the road.
I think, and I'm glad Gabe brought up this topic, because it just really common sense and really not being lazy, taking care of your vehicle, from food inside to whatever you leave inside, to not parking it next to trees or cactuses, or just leaving it parked there. Pretty dry cut, and it'll prevent rodents from getting into your vehicle. Plus, it'll help you save a ton of money, baby.
That's what it's all about with this show. The whole idea is to help you keep your hard-earned feria where it belongs.
Hey, God bless you, Gabriel. I want to thank Advanced Auto Parts. We want to thank the Auto Angel, good people, and everybody there at the Auto Angel. Bubba, gracias. God bless you guys. We are 99.9 FM, M810. Have a great and blessed day.